Welcome back, movie fans. I'm here for another list. The 20 best movies of the 2010s, comedy edition. This is part one of two, as usual. And as usual, I'm not going to go in any particular order. I'm going to start from the earliest and with the latest. I find it easier to do that way. So let's start off with The Other Guys. Starring Mark Wahlberg, Will Ferrell, Michael Keaton. Cameos from The Rock and Samuel L. Jackson as the good cops, I guess, but they think they could jump from a building and land in a bush, die. So it's up to Mark Wahlberg. Will Ferrell take over, but Will Ferrell's happy just being a desk jockey. Mark Wahlberg wants to be more than that. Hilarity ensues. Love it. Up next is She's Out of My League, starring Jay Baruchel. Yeah, Jay Baruchel. Great Canadian actor. He meets a girl that everybody is saying she's out of your league, like she's hot, and his friend T.J. Miller tries to say, "Oh, you're like a 3 and she's a 10," and it just doesn't. He has it in his head that the rating system is foolproof, and so Jay tries way too hard. Of course, he ends up losing her, getting her back, and it works out, but his entire family's still friends with his ex because she's so wonderful and treat him like crap. But anyway, really good movie. I enjoyed it. Rainn Wilson's up next. Super. He plays a superhero that's not for kids. It's extremely violent. Elliot Page plays his sidekick. He beats people to death and it's very bloody, so it's not for kids at all. But Rainn Wilson is very enjoyable in this movie. Love this. I always thought there'd be a sequel, but there never was. Maybe someday, maybe not. Hard to say, but either way, it's good as a standalone film. Cameron Diaz, Justin Timberlake, Jason Segel. Big fan of all three of these people in Bad Teacher. Cameron Diaz is a teacher, hates her job. Her only goal in life is to marry rich. So she quits her job teaching, goes home to her fiance. He breaks up with her. She ends up teaching again. She tries to raise money for a boob job because she thinks it'll help her get some money, a reward. And near the end, Justin Timberlake plays a fellow teacher, but very phony. Like, no matter what you say, he agrees with it. And Jason Segel plays the gym teacher, has the hots for Cameron Diaz, but realizes she's not the nicest person. But anyway, it's a really funny movie. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it yet. Justin Timberlake again, actually, and Mila Kunis in Friends with Benefits. Mila plays she's like a bounty hunter for businesses, and she recruits Justin Timberlake. The always awesome Woody Harrelson's in this. Anyway, they decide they're going to be friends with benefits and no strings attached. But of course, strings become attached and it's a will they, won't they. I've liked this one, seen this one in the theater. I'll say right now, I'm a big fan of Justin Timberlake, so. The next one is co-written by Jay Baruchel. Goon. It's based off a book. Sean William Scott plays a hockey player. Not a good hockey player, but he's a fighter. He's the enforcer for his team. And the older Liev Schreiber decides he wants to go against Sean William Scott to kind of close out his career to see who is the best goon. It was a hell of a lot better than I thought it was going to be. The sequel, not so much at all. But I highly recommend Goon. Even if you don't like hockey, it's still a very enjoyable movie. Pretty violent as well, actually. Jason Segel. This is from the mind of Jason Segel. The Muppets. That's right. The Muppets. He stars in it. His brother Walter is a Muppet. So pretty much they try and meet the other Muppets, save the theater, and it has all the Muppets in it, of course, and it's absolutely preposterous, but I loved it. It's kind of a musical as well. Like, I'm a Muppet of a Man, where Walter looks in a mirror and it's actually Jim Parsons from Big Bang Theory. I really like it. I was kind of surprised Jason Segel didn't do another Muppets movie. All right, the next is a remake of a '80s drama, but they turned it into a comedy. You watch my, I did a short video of my favorite actors working today: Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill, 21 Jump Street. The wife and I went to see this in the theater. This is the first movie I went to the theater to see where I laughed so hard my face actually hurt. And it has one of my favorite lines ever. Channing and Jonah have to. Well, if you're familiar with 21 Jump Street show, they're undercover cops playing teenagers, even though it's a running joke in the movie. Like, you look like you're 30 years old. But anyway, they do the drugs. Channing Tatum's in science class writing on the board. Kind of find out it's just all sevens and shit. But he's like, talk about the flux capacitor and fuck you, science. Just cracks me up. I love Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill together. 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street. I was hoping there'd be more, but we never did get another one. Big fan of this. And it has the great Ice Cube in it, too. I love Ice Cube. The next is kind of a closing out of a comedy franchise. American Reunion from American Pie. Jim and the whole gang's back. They're going to their high school reunion. And Oz is back because he was not in the wedding one, which they do address. Because I was wondering, are they going to do that? Just going to ignore it? But no, they do address the fact he wasn't able to make it. Apparently, he's this big sports broadcaster, and he failed on Dancing with the Stars, which is a joke in the movie. Jim and his wife have kids, but they're having trouble finding time for themselves. And it's very touching. Finch, I'm not going to tell you about Finch. He's my favorite. And Stifler hasn't changed at all. Stifler is just the same guy. And it kind of, I don't know. That also comes up in the movie. He realizes, like, people don't hang out with him because of who he is and how he is. But this is probably my favorite American Pie movie. Alright, to close out this video. This one, again, go back to my shorts of my favorite working actors. Directed by, written by, starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt. With Scarlett Johansson, Brie Larson, Julianne Moore, and the amazing Tony Danza. I love Tony Danza. But Tony Danza actually plays his dad. And they also starred in Angels in the Outfield together back in the 90s. But Joseph wrote this movie kind of... His character, Don John, is obsessed with porn. He meets Scarlett Johansson, who's obsessed with the Hollywood romantic comedies. And that's what it's about. Can the two mix? And it even shows him he's in class watching porn on his phone. He ends up hooking up with an older lady because she sees him watching it. And it's very well done, actually, for the topic. So watch Don John if you missed it. That's it for this one. Tune in next week. There will be part 2. When I will remind you of these 10. So I want to hear your favorite comedies of the 2010s. There were so many. This is probably one of the hardest lists I've done to narrow it down. So anyway, share your thoughts on comedies from the 2010s, everybody. Till next time, remember to like. Hit that subscribe button down there. Come back and see me. Thanks, everybody.